Matt. Welcome. This is Kate Douglas from 3CDC.
Kate, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, good. I'm assuming everyone will be at home today or close
I think
to
so. Most of us.
it. Yeah, my job after this is to bite the bullet and shovel my driveway. So
That's on my list too.
my plan was to do it this morning, but it was just too cold.
Yes, it was. Hi, Greg.
Hi, Kate. Hi, Matt.
Greg, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, good.
I was just telling Kate I was on a call with her that I just finished shoveling my driveway. Whew.
Ah, yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, some pretty icy snow. Hi, Bob.
Hey, howdy, howdy.
Howdy, howdy. So Tim might be on now. Too.
Hey, the street ambassador is just doing a great job keeping those sidewalks clear. I mean, it's really quite remarkable given the conditions.
That's great to hear, Bob. Yeah, I can't get over how much sleet came down.
Yeah,
That was crazy. I mean, we probably had 6 inches of whatever on my driveway, and we got sleet all day yesterday. I didn't see snow till about 9 o'clock last night. That's great to hear.
yep. You know, typically those sidewalks stay frozen for, in this kind of weather, for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Right. Hi, Robbie. Hi, Andy.
You guys doing?
Doing well. Yep. Mr. Habel.
Mr. Olson, how are you?
Fine. It's nice to see you.
As always.
Chris Habel.
What's happening, guys?
Hi, Caitlin. Buddy's dropping in. This is good.
So just so everyone knows, our live stream is on now on YouTube.
Thanks, Kate. Kate, you want to let me know when we should? Bobby's not going to be able to join us. At least for the first 30 minutes or so. So he asked me to chair the meeting today.
Okay. And Jim Price will not be attending. He's out of town.
Okay.
Let's see everyone here. I think we can go ahead and start.
Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I think our first order of business, if you want, I'm going to try to jump back and forth between the agenda and the Zoom, so I assume you'll still be able to see me.
I'm going to share the PowerPoint right now, if that's okay.
That's perfect. I don't have to jump back and forth. Thanks, Kate. I'm pretty sure our first order of business is going to be the approval of the January minutes. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes? Anyone want to make a motion? No.
Motion to approve.
Motion?
Who was that, Bob?
Yep.
Okay, Bob Selhorst, we need a second.
Second, Lisa Webb.
Thank you, Lisa. Does anyone have any questions or remarks? Okay, perhaps just wave your hand as show you're in favor.
Aye.
Fantastic. So approved. The next order of business is Treasury Management and Insurance. Tim Salesi from 3CDC. I'd like to introduce him to take it from here.
All right, hello. So we're moving forward with setting up the bank account. So we did, the first step would be get a tax ID number. So we did that. So we're now working with Fifth Third to open a bank account, and we'll get that set up, and all of our back-end information on the 3CDC financial software. So that is in process. Hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have that up and running. And then on the insurance front, we did secure the D&O insurance, so that coverage is bound. And 3CDC or OTR District Management is going to pay the first premium payment on the SID's behalf, and then we'll be reimbursed for that once funds are received. And then on the commercial liability side, we did add it to the SID as an additional named insured there. So everything, all the insurance should be in place that is needed. So I don't know if anybody has any questions there, but in future months, we'll actually bring more of the actual financial results to it, but we don't really have much at this point in time.
Okay, thanks for your report, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for getting that, the bank account and the EIN set up. We appreciate that. And the officers and directors insurance. Okay, I believe next we have governance. Caitlin Felvis, would you take it over?
Sure. And today with us, we have two attorneys from Graydon who are going to introduce themselves. If you all recall, at your last meeting, you selected Graydon as outside counsel. So I've connected with them and gotten them started, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to Matt Lake, who can talk you through some of the remaining items related to setup and then address the question that the board had related to the residential renter on the board. Matt, are you on? Are you able to?
Matt?
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Just first, I wanted to thank you for hiring Graydon to work with the SID. We're looking forward to a long-term partnership with you guys and bringing value to what you guys are doing. I want to introduce Rula first, give her just a quick chance to tell you a little bit about herself.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, everybody. I want to echo what Matt said. Really looking forward to working with you all. I'm relatively new OTR resident. I've been here close to a year, so as an attorney excited, but also just as a resident of OTR excited to work with you all. So I'm excited to be with you.
Well, welcome.
Thanks, Rula.
Too.
Great. And just a little background with me. I've been with Graydon 21 years as of actually officially today. It's my wife's birthday, so I always remember I started on my wife's birthday. So that's easy for me to remember. I do a lot of taxing and nonprofit work and real estate valuation. Worked with a lot of nonprofits around town. And as you know, our Graydon has an office up in OTR. So again, this is a group we're excited to be working with. And to get into the topics to keep us moving along, one thing I wanted to speak just briefly about is next steps on your corporate governance. You guys got articles together. They're filed with the Ohio Secretary of State. That makes you an Ohio nonprofit corp with a separate legal existence. I understand you have an EIN now. So the next big step is getting you registered with the Internal Revenue Service as a 501c3 entity. And I won't get into the weeds on that, but it's with anything with the IRS, it is a process. We'll get to work. I know I'm going to do some work with Kate Douglas on this, on gathering the information they need. Usually takes us a month or two to get the application together. It's now an online portal we have to file through. And then it takes about anywhere from 6 months to a year once we submit for the IRS to approve the application. You know, this application should get approved, but in particular with COVID, most IRS agents are working at home, has made the process even less efficient than it was. So I would expect once we file, it will take closer to the 1 year mark to get the determination letter from the IRS, which is the golden ticket in the nonprofit world that you can hand to donors. During that time, you can still treat yourselves as a 501c3. It's just harder to prove. Most donors want that letter in hand before they're going to make any sort of sizable donation. But they can make donations, and you can accept donations in the interim.
Okay.
And along with that will be applying with the Attorney General's office, which is the easier part. It takes most of the information. Once you assemble the IRS determination information, that's most of the stuff the Attorney General's office needs. So that's the easier of the two. Do you guys have any questions about the determination process or what it means or timing?
No, I do not.
Okay, great. Again, I'll get to work with Kate Douglas on getting that together.
Okay.
And then the second item we had just talked briefly about was the residential renter. I know my understanding was City Council in this group. Right now it's set up as a non-voting director. Technically, the code says that person can't be a voting director. Further, the other technicality on that is in order to change that in your articles is not easy. Your articles require you to go back to City Council and basically get their approval, which is a long, arduous process. So our recommendation would be that you treat it as a practice. That as a practice, you guys can choose to treat them as a voting member. From a practical viewpoint, there are likely to be very few instances where it's actually going to matter. So that's what our recommendation would be. I mean, to go back to get City Council approval on this, it would be a daunting and slow process.
So Matt, should the board
that
vote on? Should the board vote on that? Make a recommendation.
You certainly could. I mean, you could just approve that as a board and use that practice going forward.
Matt, can you explain what in practice means?
Yeah, I would tell you what, and that's a good. I can explain that, Greg. In theory, if anyone challenged you and wanted to invalidate the vote, in theory, of that residential renter representative, they probably could, because the statute says you've got to be an owner. So, with that in mind, in most cases, it's unlikely that they would be the swing vote. So that's when it would matter. Of course,
So it matters when it's a swing vote. Your notes said that it could be a representative of a property owner in the district. Is that it? Is that something that could take place where there is a representative, where Robbie is designated as a representative of another entity?
Certainly, they could appoint Robbie as their representative. However, each member gets one representative.
Okay.
So you would, so that member in effect
Okay.
would be
Okay.
would be giving up their. If someone wanted to do that, certainly, but they may not want to give up that right.
So Matt, I was told this, and is it still an option for me I've got a landlord that I rent from, obviously. Is it an option for me to buy a small percentage, like $300 stake in the place I live? And then would that remedy moving forward, does there have to be a certain size of ownership?
It doesn't have to be a certain size, and that's a creative idea. Here's the one hitch in that, is that, again, that member, that condo owner has one member and one representative. So they would, in effect, have to give up their vote and hand it to you, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of their vote for the SID and the practice of renewing the SID, that entity's one vote would be Robbie's decision, essentially.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'd be his, and I do think he would have to become I mean, if we wanted to be 100% legally technical.
Okay,
he
I think
would-
what
he
we're
could-
trying to accomplish here, Matt, is that we really want a renter representative, and so I think Robbie does that. But it's something that we will talk about, I think, perhaps offline, and try to understand if it's worth having a conversation about going back to the city council. But otherwise, at this point in time, with having you guys will represent this board at every meeting, I assume. So if we have a vote, it would, in a vote that matters, where it comes down to just one vote, then I think we'll just have to be aware of that at that time. I think that's how.
Right, right, yeah,
Okay.
you got it, place where
Okay.
that one vote mattered. I think that's
Okay,
the most
that's good to know.
practical effect.
Yeah, we'll just, but for purposes of practice, Robbie will continue to vote unless we do something different. And I don't think we're prepared to take that conversation any further here today. Okay.
All right.
Do we need to then, I need to ask someone to make a motion to approve what, making the practice of treating Robbie as a renter as a voting member?
And Kate, do you want to go to the next slide? Because there's two approvals that we do need from the board related to all of the corporate governance.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Caitlin. So would someone make a motion to authorize Graydon to prepare registration and tax exempt applications and authorize the officers of the company to approve and execute any necessary documentation?
Make a motion.
Okay. And anyone second?
I'll second.
Okay, who were the first two? Who were those two names?
Bob Deck first.
Okay. And Anthony?
Yep, Myron,
Okay.
second.
Anthony Myron, second. All in favor, just show of hands. Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Some people have their computer on mute. So it sounds like it passed. The yeas have it. Let's move on to the second approval request before us today. Adopt a resolution. So we'll need a motion to adopt a resolution to treat a vote of a non-voting residential renter representative as a real vote for approval purposes. Anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to adopt the resolution to treat the vote of the non-voting residential renter representative as a real vote for approval purposes. Bob Selhorst.
Thank you, Bob. Need a second?
I'm
Dan
second.
Baranowski seconds.
Thank you, Dan. So Dan, make record show Dan Baranowski second that. By the show of hands, all in favor? Okay. Any noes? The yeas have it. I think that covers the approval request under the Finance, Administration, Governance portion of our meeting. Kate, do you want to move on to operations? Okay, I believe we're going to talk about, I don't know what order we're going to go in, but I'm expecting it's probably David Visman on the services plan. David, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
I think starting out, we really appreciate everybody's patience as we're seeing all the snowfall over the last couple of weeks. I think, not having snow for a couple of years, it really was tough to get into the swing of things quite how we had hoped to. So I think we received a lot of feedback initially on, how we performed from, some positive feedback and then again, some negative feedback as well. So I wanted to just start by going over originally what was included in the South SID, talk about what we're currently doing for deployment, and then, moving forward, how we, tighten that up and figure out a better way to present that to stakeholders so everybody's, on the same page as we receive more snow. Hopefully not this year, past Thursday. So in the original OTR SID service plan, as it states on here, snow removal from sidewalks beginning on main thoroughfares and gradually moving to the remaining service area. So for our current deployment, we're really focusing on, those main arteries that are connecting, through over the Rhine, connecting to downtown, connecting across over the Rhine. So, as stated here, it's the north and south. We initially focus on Vine, Main, Race, and Walnut. East to west, 12, 13, 14. And then we start kind of working our way out from there. One of the primary things that we focus on, and this is a big focus in downtown, are corner cuts. So as the plows come through, a lot of times they'll push snow up to where the crosswalks are. And we want to be able to carve those out so that people can move from the sidewalk across the street to the other side of the street. That is a large task in and of itself, and is usually a lot of staff time doing that. Then once we get through these, we move into the kind of tertiary routes that we call them, and basically start filling in all the gaps on the sidewalk. Some owners are cleaning their own sidewalks. Some we have vacant building owners that we'll cover. Some have like gaps in between where somebody's cleared. There's maybe an interruption to where the next building goes. Just try to make a clear pathway throughout the neighborhood. These are a couple of just photos of our staff in action. Just as a reminder, the staff coverage that we currently have, we'll have 4 ambassadors that are in on first shift and 3 ambassadors that are in on second shift. What we've done on days like today is we'll usually run a 10 to 12 hour shift for everyone. We'll have the first shift, instead of coming in at the typical 7 a.m., we had them working at, as soon as they could get here, but most staff were in by 6 a.m. Staff that got in earlier, we had them start earlier. And then staff are just kind of working on those primary routes and moving out from there. Equipment that's currently in our inventory, we have 3 snow brushes, 6 salt spreaders, an ATV with plow that is in our resources. So I just want to touch real quickly on kind of the main concerns that we heard through, phone calls to Bobby or emails to Kate or I or phone calls. So mainly we heard on coverage in alleys. So clearing the alleys were not done quickly enough and, effectively. We heard negative feedback on just not getting to the side streets quickly enough. So heard from different stakeholders on Central Parkway, Magnolia, Grant, Broadway. Those were all areas that we were able to get to eventually. It just wasn't within the first 2 days of that first larger snowfall. One resident brought up taking away jobs for folks that were already being hired to do that work. Some requests were made to start focusing on elderly population and cleaning in front of those built facilities sooner and pushing them up on priority lists. And then just an overall confusion of expectation of property owner, property manager SID plan. So I think with that, we'd love to open it up to kind of a discussion of, Greg, I don't know how you'd like to kind of manage that discussion, or if we want to get a smaller group together and discuss more of those details, is I think what we're going to recommend, so that we could really kind of draw and map out what that plan looks like, so that we could put it on our website here eventually.
Okay, I would say that, first of all, that the snowfall that hit us last Monday was not expected, and it was the highest snowfall we've had in 13 years, which I was still very impressed with how 3CDC handled the snowfall. I know it taxed my team on all the parking lots we manage at Urban Sites. It was just an enormous amount of snow. And then this one was just quite a bit of ice, which I've seen tremendous results already. Feedback from my team on that as well. I don't know that there's a lot of discussion here, that unless someone specifically wants to add some insight. I think what we should do is identify folks, and you can reach out to me and Bobby and let us know if you would like to be a part of this subcommittee to work through details of the snow plan. And you guys can come back to us in a week or so with what that plan looks like. We're probably going to be by the end of February, maybe into March. We're probably going to be done with this possibility for snowfall. Cross my fingers, like David just did. But I think the sooner the better. But if there is anyone who would like to be on that subcommittee, love to hear from you now, or you can share your interest with David or Kate after the meeting.
Greg, a question.
Go ahead, Andy.
I mean, do you have to be a board member to be on, this committee, or?
I don't know. I don't know. Caitlin, do you know if you have to be a board member to be on a subcommittee?
So I think the question, and Matt, feel free to jump in here too. I think the question is whether you are actually establishing a subcommittee of the board, or if this is more just a working group to work through this problem. And if it is just a working group, then I would say, again, it's up to the board whether you want to keep it at the board level or whether you want to open it up to other people. Given the specific nature of this, Matt, I don't know if it would make sense to have an actual subcommittee at this point or not.
I would just recommend like an ad hoc committee that just meets whatever, once or twice, just on this issue of snow removal. It doesn't have to be more detailed than that.
I think we should keep it to the board level, the board of trustees. So as opposed to getting into other folks who might want, I'm happy to have others share with us what they would like to see, but I think we should just have a subcommittee of board members that would be interested in helping out with creating a detail of a snow plan. Does anybody want to be? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I think that makes sense. I mean, you can do season's almost over. You don't want to make this too hard for yourselves.
Okay. With that said, is anyone interested in being a part of the snow plan subcommittee or working group?
I will.
Thank you, Andy.
I will as well.
Is that you, Robbie?
Yep, Robbie.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just another question. So obviously, David, you and your team have been through a lot these last couple of weeks. Just for folks who are listening in on YouTube, kind of what are your learnings, and how have you approached it today versus 2 weeks ago? It'd just be helpful for folks to hear.
Well, I think that out of the gate 2 weeks ago, we had some equipment issues that, I think from not using equipment in a while, even though we, had them maintenanced and tested them out, in December, we still had a couple of hiccups coming in out of the gate. We were able to, remedy that. And I think that's been a huge help to have all of our equipment up and running moving to this time. I think, we added a little bit more staffing this time, pulling more staff from that isn't traditionally SID staffing from Washington Park and Ziegler Park, that we're able to supplement a little bit more of our staffing. So we've been able to hit a little bit more of the area more quickly. We also, at this point, brought in a little bit more equipment. We had two kind of walk behind dingoes that were able to help with some larger of the snow removal at the corner cut. So I think where we feel like we've improved is just on how quickly we're moving through those main routes. I think there was some confusion where people would think that maybe we're doing 2 passes on the main routes before we're getting to the secondary. Usually we're doing those 2 passes because the one pass won't get to a point where we're happy with, that we want to go back through a second time to get down to the actual concrete before we move on to the next street. I think that's primarily, I think that we've, alleys were something that, we anticipated doing some stuff on the sidewalks, but not actually going through and clearing snow on some of those alleys that people have vehicles on. That's one that we've been working on helping do. And I think that's the one that we need to decide as a SID, is that what the expectation should be. Because that might be one that we look back to the city too, of what equipment they have and can they make it through. I think overall, I also think that the streets, we wanted to follow up with public services and just figure out what their priority level was for downtown and over the Rhine of hitting the streets, because honestly, at this point, we feel like the sidewalks are looking a lot better than the streets are. So that was another kind of follow-up that we had, our team had flagged and wanted to follow up on as well.
Thanks, David. Does that answer your question, Andy?
Yeah, like, and just to get one pass through all of those, whatever, everything, is that like a 4 or 5 hour process, or how long does it take at this point?
I mean, it seems like it's going to be more like a 10 to 12 hour process to get through all of the streets. I mean, once we get past the primary and secondary, and then it depends on, are we going through and salting afterwards? We've timed a lot of this stuff this time to make sure that as we go back to the board, we can say, this is how long it's taking us to do those tasks with these type of snows. Obviously, each snow level is going to be different, whether it's ice, whether it's wet snow, whether it's dry snow, you know what I mean? So with these specific conditions, we've done a lot of sample testing of how long it's taking us to do a full block, both from going through with the pass of the snow brush and then also a pass with salt. So we can provide a lot of that detail and backup when we put together the proposal of defining what we can do.
Okay, thanks.
David, as a part of being on the original committee to help form the SID, I don't ever recall thinking that we would plow the alleyways. So I think if we hear from those who are listening on the YouTube channel what their experience was, which alleys actually have car service or vehicle service or access, that might be interesting because it would tell us where there be priorities. But I don't, it was never my intent or interpretation that we would be plowing alleyways, even though it does count, the street frontage and the calculation. But that's my recollection.
Yeah, and that's where I think I want to just make sure we define it moving forward.
Okay,
primarily Goose and Kemp Alley were two that have been brought up to us from stakeholders. Anything that's been brought up at this point, we try to address as quickly as we can right now. And then I think if we establish a detailed plan of what we're clearly doing, we'll be able to send that over to everyone.
Okay, I think that'll come out of the committee. So that's wonderful. Thank you all. Is that all you have for us, David, for now?
I can stick on. I think Kate and I both have a couple more things in this environment.
You're welcome. Stick on. Was there any other comments or insights or thoughts related to the snow service, the snow removal? If not, we can move on to the next. I think it's in stakeholder services, and I think that's you, Kate.
Okay, thank you. So just kind of quickly, we covered this in the last meeting, but just wanted to give a refresher, like how stakeholders can communicate with us and report issues. So we have the ambassador hotline that they can call for clean and safe requests. And then we also have the social outreach outline as well to assist those experiencing homelessness and panhandling to get them connected with services. And we'll hear an update on those efforts in a few minutes. And you can always contact me directly as well through email or phone. I maintain a tracking list of all these requests that we get from stakeholders and directing them to the right either internal contact or someone at the different city department, and then making sure we're following up on all of these requests that they're getting answered and addressed.
Okay, thank you, Kate. I believe, is that all for the stakeholder service? No.
Just one more, just kind of a snapshot. Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay in my clicking through the slide. Just a snapshot of the kind of requests that we get. So making sure we're following up and getting those sent out to the right internal or external contact, as I mentioned.
Hey, one quick question about stakeholder services that keeps coming up, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it with the board, but this deserted garbage cans that are left out on the street, they're either city cans or Rumpke cans. I think I counted yesterday, there were like 5 or 6 of them on 13th and on Woodward. And what happens is it's a can that's left out there. Nobody claims it after trash has been picked up, and it just becomes a dump site. I mean, within about 3 or 4 days, the trash is overflowing. I've talked to a couple of the street ambassadors around here about what to do. I mean, either you call the city and they come get it and they're reluctant, or you call Rumpke to come get it. So I don't know what we can do, but it seems to be a problem throughout over the Rhine. When people leave cans out there, they become dump sites, and then the city doesn't want to claim it and Rumpke doesn't want to claim it, and they won't pick it up if it's not in the designated spot the next pickup cycle. So I don't know what the solution is, but it seems like the street ambassadors need a method to get rid of the can.
I can take that one, Kate. I think that one of the things we kind of have a staging area that will take things like that, mark what the address is that we pull it from, and hold it for a certain amount of time to make sure that it isn't a tenant that or a resident or a building owner that is missing it. And then we'll make sure and take it the next step of getting it back to whoever, whether it's the city or Rumpke, getting it back to them. So it should be.
So just call a street ambassador line.
Yeah, you can just call the ambassador hotline with that, and I'll make sure that our next kind of staff meeting that we make that a priority is something that we're looking for up here, and everyone's clear of where it needs to go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robert and David. Just moving on quickly with some marketing and outreach that we've been doing to businesses. This is our Save Local campaign that we launched to really have a call to action for people to support downtown and over the Rhine businesses now, so they are here in the springtime. So we have an email newsletter that goes out each week, and we're promoting it on social media and doing some different giveaways and things to interact with the public on our different social media channels to get people to still support downtown businesses, whether it's in person or virtually safely from home if they're still not comfortable physically visiting these businesses. So buying gift cards, doing virtual events, things like that. So that's something that's ongoing to help support our downtown businesses. So we've been doing a lot of outreach to downtown merchants to get them to submit to us their events and promotions, and we update our website at downtowncincinnati.com/savelocal. So that's kind of a one-stop location for all of these events happening, so we can help promote these businesses. We've also been doing a lot of outreach to neighboring businesses for the downtown permanent outdoor dining and the streetery program. So making sure people are aware of when the schedule is happening and when these are under construction. So that's an ongoing project that will be happening. We expect it to be finished sometime in mid-March.
Thanks, Kate. Looks like moving on to environment. David, will this be you again?
Yeah, just real quick, I think we wanted to highlight one of the kind of services we do with the city that's primarily been downtown, that we're working with DOTE on setting up a similar report in over the Rhine, where basically we're consistently going through and doing a comprehensive inventory of lights that are out on a monthly basis and submitting them through the city's Fix It Cincy app. And then on an every other month basis, they send us a comprehensive report of what lights they fixed, what lights are still out, and then what lights are kind of new to the system, just to help us kind of manage a little bit better of what lights are on and off up here. I don't think it's as big of a problem in over the Rhine with Duke having a lot more of the lights up here as it is downtown, but downtown I think was one of the first things we had noticed during our merger with DCI was we came in the door with, probably over 150 light CSRs that needed to be addressed, and felt like that was just, way more than we felt like should be there. So it's just a system that we established with the DOT to get consistent reporting and make sure that lights are being fixed in a timely manner up here. So we'll probably provide updates on that quarterly or, a couple of times a year.
That's helpful. Thanks, David. Thanks for that perspective.
Yeah,
it's good to know. Yeah, I appreciate that you guys are on top of that. That's great. Okay, and then I think the final is Generosity 513, Nicole.
Hey guys. So first, I just wanted to point out, what we look like from 2020 to now. We're right around the same way, but we are anticipating an increase following the winter shelters closing down here soon. and things of that nature. So we're doing things within the team to prepare for that. And then this is just an outline of the services we provided in January compared to last January.
Okay.
As you can see, we weren't able to get as many people into shelter, but we are working with the motel project that GCB is operating. We have currently 19 of our clients staying in that motel project. So that has been very helpful to our area. We were also able to get 16 clients connected to housing, and 8 of them actually moved in this January.
That's great.
Can I ask Nicole, what day is the winter shelter supposed to close?
I have not got a confirmation on that yet. I've asked a couple different times and they are still uncertain as of last week.
Temperatures aren't getting any warmer.
That is correct.
Nicole, one other question. When does the funding run out for the hotels rooms that you're managing, and how many rooms is that total?
So it's 30 rooms total, and they're holding 47 clients total. And those rooms will be done on March 10th is when the funding is out for that.
Where is that located, Nicole?
Right now they're split up between 2 different hotels. One is at the Budget Inn on Central, and one is at Quality Inn on Ridge Avenue.
Okay. Thank you.
And then, as Nicole said, we have been anticipating an increase in both homelessness and panhandling as we come out of the winter. Both, I think the open cases stats that she showed a little earlier don't tell the full story, because we do have a lot of clients that are currently in hotels, not just the hotel rooms that GCB is managing, but there's at least 2 other groups that are managing hotel rooms as well that we haven't seen those clients in over 60 days. And by our system, if we haven't seen someone in over 60 days, it rolls off of our open cases log. So while we saw that kind of drastic decrease from 250 to 170 or so from December to January, we are all preparing as a team to see that as a pretty big increase as the temperatures start warming up. With that in mind, we went to the DCID board, and Chris Habel, who is on our Center City Management Committee, is also on the call and has worked really closely with us on this as well. Went to them and asked to, hired GCB to provide additional resources for that expected increase. So we got approval for that full amount to be covered by DCID. And that would include a 4th outreach worker full-time for the full year, and then a 5th outreach worker seasonally that would work March through October. So we wanted to give an update to this board, just because it really impacts both districts, because we'll just be able to provide more services and better coverage of both areas with those 2 outreach workers that we've added on. And at the bottom, it kind of shows that schedule moving forward.
So the outreach and the staff cover downtown and over the Rhine. Is that correct, David?
That's correct.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, that's great. Thank you, Chris Habel, also for the DCID board willingly taking on those additional costs. Is that all we have for Generosity 513 in the environment? Was there anything else? Oh, we're finished. Okay. Well, with that, does anybody have any questions on the presentation from 3CDC's team or with Nicole and the outreach with Generosity 513, or with Chris Habel, who joined us, kindly joined this call regarding the hiring of the outreach person?
Hey, Greg, I had a question. Just I'm still learning kind of our budget and our scope. There was a slide on like the streeteries, and then there was a slide on the lighting. Like, are those are those paid out of our budget, or is that something else?
My recollection is that the streeteries has its own budget. That has nothing to do with the special improvement district. David or Kate or Caitlin, can anyone confirm that? Is that accurate?
That is correct. The lighting is specifically everything that currently is being paid for out of lighting is in the city budget. I think we look with the city to find opportunities for additional improvements that specifically with DCI and our Center City Management Group that we find opportunities, maybe supplement some of the money they have. But for this committee's purpose, this is really just like kind of helping them manage the lighting.
And some perspective. That's
And
great.
then from the streeteries, that's really a city funded program that we're really just communicating to stakeholders of, hopefully being ahead of it of when construction's happening, how it might impact streets and the community and everything around.
Thank you, David.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Andy.
No, just thanks.
Hey, Bobby, looks like Bobby just joined us. So our fearless president has been able to make it. Thanks for like your hat, looking good. Welcome.
Thanks, Greg.
I think we are down to the last item on our agenda, and that's basically new business. Is there any new business that any of the trustees would like to bring forward at this time? Okay, well, Bobby, is there anything you would like to share or you would like to?
I'm sure this was covered, but just really appreciate for the board members and also our fellow stakeholders, appreciate the grace given. It's hard to start a new process, new systems, some new staff while you're getting hit with a 15, 20-year snowstorm. So just appreciate the grace. It's a tough job and we're going to get better.
Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, I think the 3CDC team did a heck of a job in spite of the big snowfalls. Well, with that, would someone like to make a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor by show of hands?
Aye.
All right. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you for your time, everyone, and thank you, 3CDC, for your great work these last 2 weeks.
Thanks, Greg.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.